The courtroom was a crucible of unspoken tension, a silent opera where every breath held consequence. No cameras were permitted to intrude upon this solemn theater of justice, yet the atmosphere thrummed with an intensity that rendered lights and lenses superfluous. It was a palpable force, a simmering cauldron of anticipation that threatened to boil over at any moment. A subtle ripple, almost imperceptible, ran through the hushed gallery when the judge's voice, clear and resonant, sliced through the oppressive quiet. "Hailey Bieber is expected to testify this week," he announced, the words hanging in the air, weighted with unspoken implications. In that singular moment, every eye in the packed courtroom swiveled as one, their collective gaze converging on the defense table, on the imposing figure of Diddy. He remained an island of stillness in the turbulent sea of speculation, a statue carved from granite. Not a muscle twitched, not an eyelid fluttered. Yet behind that carefully constructed facade of composure, something shifted. A subtle tremor. He leaned almost imperceptibly toward his lead attorney, a whisper escaping his lips, a secret shared only between them, lost to the clamor of the room. Then, with a hand that betrayed a tremor, he reached for a glass of water. But instead of bringing it to his lips, he returned it to the table with a deliberate, almost agonizing slowness, as if the crystal were spun from fragile ice, poised on the brink of shattering. And then the abrupt concussive sound. Diddy's open palm struck the polished wooden table, a single, sharp report that echoed through the room, silencing even the frantic scribbling of the court sketch artist, tucked away in a corner. The judge paused, an eyebrow arching in a silent question. His attorney, a seasoned veteran of courtroom theatrics, gently placed a restraining hand on Diddy's forearm, a silent plea to stem any further, potentially damaging, outburst. Across the solemn expanse of the room, the prosecution exchanged swift, knowing glances. This turn of events was unforeseen, a curveball they hadn't anticipated. Hailey Bieber's involvement, especially at such an early stage, or indeed at all, was a disruptive force. This was no meticulously choreographed media spectacle. This was a legal ambush, a seismic shift that threatened to redefine the entire trajectory of the trial. Outside the courtroom, the news, like a virulent contagion, spread with alarming speed. Within minutes, TMZ's digital tentacles had seized upon the information, emblazoning a headline across its infamous platform. Twitter, now rebranded as X, ignited in a furious blaze of speculation. Hailey Bieber subpoenaed in Diddy trial. While official confirmation remained elusive, an undeniable sense of difference permeated the air. Reporters, sensing the seismic shift, scrambled for their phones, their voices a cacophony of urgent pronouncements. Paparazzi, like a ravenous horde, swarmed the courthouse parking lot, their camera lenses glinting like predatory eyes. Inside, Diddy remained impassive, his face a mask of impenetrable stoicism. To the public, it might have seemed like just another sensational twist in a messy celebrity saga, a fleeting blip in the relentless churn of the news cycle. But to those within the confines of that room, those who could feel the palpable weight of what had just transpired, this was more than a mere name drop. It was a threat. Because one truth, stark and undeniable, resonated in the minds of everyone present. If Hailey Bieber was truly prepared to testify, then she had seen something, heard something, perhaps even lived something. And whatever that revelation was, it possessed the chilling power to dismantle an empire. Before we delve deeper into the labyrinthine intricacies of this unforgettable narrative, we implore you to take a moment. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and activate the bell icon. This simple act ensures that you will never miss another thought-provoking documentary, meticulously crafted to unravel the truths hidden beneath the surface, just like the one you are about to witness. Now, let us return to the heart of the story. Before the subpoenas arrived, before the meticulously scheduled court dates punctuated the calendar, and before the headlines exploded in a supernova of public scrutiny, there existed only a photograph. A solitary, grainy image, captured surreptitiously at a private event, an affair so exclusive that its very existence was known to but a select few. It was never intended for public consumption, certainly not for the prying eyes of the courts, and most emphatically, not for Hailey Bieber. Yet, someone had preserved it quietly, carefully, a silent weapon meticulously tucked away, awaiting the opportune moment to unleash its devastating impact. The photograph depicted a dimly lit yacht deck, its contours softened by the golden glow of string lights strung overhead. Blurred outlines of celebrities, their designer ensembles rendered indistinct by the low light, moved through the scene. Glasses of champagne, their surfaces glinting with a deceptive innocence, punctuated the background. Most of the faces were too indistinct, too pixelated to be recognized. But not hers. There, just off-center, was Haley, clad in a shimmering silver dress, her expression a fleeting enigma. Was it laughter or a grimace of discomfort? It was difficult to discern. And beside her, barely visible, was a man leaning in close. Some whispered it was Diddy. Others remained unconvinced. But the prosecution, it seemed, harbored no doubts, their confidence so absolute that they had constructed a formidable thread around this single, seemingly innocuous image. A night that, until recently, had existed only in the realm of whispered rumors. This photograph was more than a mere frozen moment in time. It was a key, a delicate crack in the seemingly impenetrable glass of Diddy's hermetically sealed inner circle, a world where parties like these were spoken of in hushed tones, their existence never definitively proven. For Haley, that photograph represented a fracture, a jagged tear in the carefully curated fabric of her controlled existence. She and Justin, meticulously, painstakingly, had strived to shield their marriage from the ravenous maw of the tabloids, to meticulously avoid the vortex of scandals and whispers that relentlessly pursued other celebrity couples. They presented a meticulously crafted tableau of domestic bliss, curated smiles, idyllic vacation clips, tender moments with their puppies, and sunsets painted in hues of perfect tranquility. But behind those meticulously constructed moments lay silences, long and heavy silences, pregnant with unspoken truths. Because Haley remembered that night. She remembered the swaying deck, the pulsating rhythm of the music, the gnawing feeling of not belonging, of being an unwelcome interloper in a world she instinctively recoiled from. And she remembered someone. Not Diddy, not precisely, but someone, a shadowy figure who had leaned in close and whispered, "You don't need to get involved. You didn't see anything. Just enjoy the party." And so, she had remained silent for years, the memory a festering wound beneath the surface of her carefully constructed calm. Until the photo resurfaced. No one knew its provenance. An anonymous envelope, devoid of a return address, contained only a single line, scrawled in an agitated hand on its reverse. She was there. Justin discovered it first. The color drained from his face, leaving him pale and ashen. He uttered no sound for nearly 5 agonizing minutes. Then his eyes, filled with a tormented mixture of fear and despair, met hers. He posed but one question: "Do you remember this?" She offered no verbal reply. Instead, she simply turned and walked away, the silence between them a deafening roar. The following morning, the call came. Her attorney, his voice grave, informed her that the prosecution wished to speak. Not about gossip, not about the familiar dance of media damage control. No, these were real questions, demanding real testimony, under oath, under the unblinking eye of the law. That was the precise moment the conflict, a silent but seismic struggle, began. Because Justin knew, and Haley knew with chilling certainty, that if she stepped into that courtroom, it wouldn't merely be about a single photograph anymore. It would unravel everything. What she had seen, what she had felt, what she had meticulously chosen not to say, and the profound, deeply personal reasons why. And somewhere across the sprawling expanse of the city, in a private legal war room bathed in the harsh, unforgiving glare of cold fluorescent lights, Diddy's formidable defense team was already mobilizing. The photo had, predictably, been on their radar. They had scrutinized it, analyzed its every pixel, attempted to bury it beneath a mountain of legal maneuvering. But it was out now, and that meant the rules of engagement had irrevocably shifted. In a case already drowning in a morass of carefully guarded secrets, Haley's continued silence could no longer offer protection to anyone, not even herself. The knock on the door, sharp and insistent, came at precisely 7:12 a.m. Haley sat at the kitchen island, lost in the depths of a cold cup of coffee she hadn't touched, its surface a swirling microcosm of her troubled thoughts. Justin, upstairs, paced restlessly, attempting to navigate a tense conversation with his manager without succumbing to the urge to yell. The air inside their home, usually a sanctuary of quiet serenity, now felt like the oppressive confines of a glass box, teetering precariously on the verge of shattering. She opened the door slowly. A man in a crisp navy suit extended a sealed envelope. "You've been served, ma'am," he intoned, his voice devoid of pleasantries, his eyes resolutely avoiding hers. Just those 4 words, and then he was gone, a phantom of judicial process. Inside the envelope, the subpoena lay, official, stamped undeniable. The state of New York was formally requesting her presence at the courthouse. She was to appear in connection with the People versus Sean Combs. The language was cold, clinical, but the sheer weight of it slammed into her, a physical blow to the chest. She held it for a long moment before Justin descended the stairs. His face, etched with unspoken dread, transformed the instant his eyes fell upon the envelope. "Is that?" She nodded, the unspoken question hanging between them. He didn't even complete his sentence. He simply took the document from her trembling fingers, read it once, his eyes scanning its stark pronouncements, then let it drop onto the counter. The silence that descended between them articulated everything words could not. Justin sank into a chair, elbows propped on his knees, his gaze fixed on the floor, as if desperately searching for an alternate reality, a path that diverged from this inevitable trajectory. "You don't have to do this," he said, his voice a raw whisper.